Watching The Devil Wears Prada 2 as an actual designer hit very differently than I expected. When I watched the first film years ago, I saw it the same way that most people did. The glamorous outfits, the impossible boss, the dramatic office culture, the fantasy of entering an elite creative world. But watching the second film now, after years of working in the creative industry, I realized something that stayed with me longer than after the credits rolled. The Devil Wears Prada was never really about fashion. It's about people protecting quality in a world that is increasingly valuing speed. And actually, right now, that feels more relevant than ever. Because if you work in design, film, writing, photography, branding, social media, or honestly any creative field today, you probably felt so seen. You probably know this exact feeling. The pressure to create faster, to post faster, to adapt faster, to learn every new tool faster, turn creativity into a constant output, make it perform well, make it trend, make it fit into that algorithm so it gets the clicks. Modern creative industries move at a pace that feels completely disconnected from actual human creativity. And yet, despite all of that, there are still people out there who care deeply about making quality things. That's what hit me the hardest when watching this movie. Not the glamour, not the drama, the quiet value of craftsmanship. Because under Miranda's terrifying presence is someone who genuinely still feels like beauty matters. Details matter, taste matters, standards matter. And underneath Nigel's sarcasm is loyalty, real creative loyalty, the kind that rarely goes viral online because they're the ones holding the creative industry together. And usually they're not the loudest people in the room. They're just people who care enough to keep trying. I think one of the biggest problems in the creative industry right now is how creativity has become glamorized, while the actual reality of creative work has become more demanding than ever. Social media loves the aesthetic version of creativity. The pretty desk setup, the coffee shop editing session, the day in my life as a graphic designer, the carefully curated studio shots, the agency branding, the trendy rebrands. And don't get me wrong, I love beautiful creative spaces too, but sometimes online culture, it markets creative careers less like professions and more like identities, as if being creative means that your life is aesthetically fulfilling at all times. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, a lot of creatives are exhausted. Designers are expected to animate, edit videos, understand branding strategy, manage social media, know AI tools, and understand marketing psychology, create motion graphics, write captions, track analytics, and somehow still remain endlessly original while working under impossible deadlines. At this point, graphic designers are carrying the entire marketing department on their backs while still trying to look emotionally stable for a Zoom call. And that's why I think The Devil Wears Prada still resonates. Because even though the industry has changed dramatically, the emotional pressure still hasn't disappeared. If anything, it just evolved and there's more of it now. Back then, during the first movie, the pressure came from elite gatekeeping. Now the pressure comes from constant visibility. Creatives today, we're not just competing with local industries or elite institutions. We are competing in an environment where everyone is creating content all the time. Technology made creativity more accessible, which is genuinely wonderful in so many ways. More people can design, more people can create films, make art, write, build an audience. This is happening more often than ever before, and that's beautiful. But at the same time, a lot of people feel like creativity has become more disposable. Trends move faster, attention spans move faster, entire visual styles appear and then disappear. Sometimes it feels like the internet consumes creative work faster than what people can emotionally put out. And honestly, I think that's where burnout comes from in a lot of creatives. Not from working hard alone, but from feeling like nothing could stay meaningful long enough anymore. You finish one project and immediately the next one begins. You post one video and then instantly think about the next upload. You finally learn one software and then 3 more appear overnight. Creative industries used to be demanding, but now they are demanding and permanently online. But this is why I connected so deeply with the parts of the movie that were centered around people who still care about quality. Because despite everything, those people still exist. There are designers who are still obsessing over typography details that no one ever notices. There are still photographers out there that are carefully adjusting light because they want their image to feel emotionally honest. Still writers out there who are fighting to keep human personality in their work. Still editors who are spending hours creating the perfect pacing. Still creative directors that are protecting ideas that they truly believe in. Still artists that are making things slowly in a culture that values speed. And I feel like all of this matters so much more now. And one thing I found very interesting about watching the movie as a designer is Miranda's character. She feels very different when you've actually worked in a creative environment. When I was younger, she felt mostly intimidating. And now, I see someone that's terrified about standards collapsing. That doesn't excuse how harsh she could be, obviously, but it adds another layer to her character that feels surprisingly relevant now. Because creative industries today are dealing with this real tension between accessibility and quality. AI tools are evolving rapidly. Templates are dominating visual culture. Branding trends change constantly. And everything is optimized for engagement like a well-oiled machine. And sometimes it genuinely feels like actual craftsmanship is being pushed aside in favor of things like speed and performance metrics. You could feel this especially in branding right now. A lot of branding these days is not primarily designed for a physical space. It is designed for scrolling. Motion-first branding, short-form content, micro-interactions, fast readability, instant emotional reactions. Static branding was designed for print. Modern branding is designed for movement. And while evolution is creatively exciting in many ways, I think a lot of designers are quietly asking these same questions. How do we keep humanity inside our work for a system that values speed above everything else? And that's the real conversation under all of this, not old good, new bad. I actually love modern creative technology. I think motion design is incredible. I think digital accessibility is incredible. I think younger creatives entering the industry on online platforms is incredible. But I also think that human-made things carries emotional weight. And I think that's something that the audience instinctively realizes. You can feel when someone cared. It applies to design, writing, film, photography, music, everything. I think that's why characters like Nigel stay so memorable, because every creative industry has people like that. Quiet experts, deeply skilled people, the ones who are loyal to the craft itself, not because it makes them famous, not because it guarantees success, but because they genuinely love beautiful work. And honestly, those kinds of people are probably the only reason that creative industries still function at all. And I think younger creatives really need to hear this right now. It is still worth it to care about making good things, even in a world obsessed with quantity, even in algorithm culture, even though we live in a world where trends move way too fast. Even when everyone tells you shorter, faster, louder, there is still immense value in thoughtful work. There is still value in craftsmanship. There is still value in taste. Not elitism, not gatekeeping, not in pretending like creativity belongs to certain people, but genuine care. The kind of care where someone spends extra time refining details because they still believe that people deserve experiences that feel deeply intentional and human. That's what stayed with me after watching The Devil Wears Prada 2. Underneath all the chaos, the burnout, the pressure, the impossible expectations, the story still believes that beautiful things matter. And honestly, I think that's why so many people stay in creative industries, despite how exhausting it could all be sometimes. Because every once in a while, you get to make something that feels real, a design that genuinely communicates something, a photograph that captures a feeling perfectly, a piece of writing that really resonates with someone, a video that makes people feel seen, a brand identity that actually has soul behind it. Those moments are rare these days, but they really do matter. And maybe creative industries feel so intense because there are still people inside them protecting the human quality. The tools changed, the platforms changed, the algorithm changed, but people who truly care about meaningful work are still there. And honestly, I don't think we're ever disappearing. But okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little different from my usual content, but I just had to make it. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!